Hello guys and welcome back on my YouTube channel. Today we are here finally with the best tier list you can find on internet.
Okay.
Today I am with one of the best player here who have a lot of knowledge about a lot of deck, and you already know him. It's Gianluca Grillo.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel.
We have to talk about a lot of leader. We already put something in the shit tier, and we don't recommend these leaders. First of all, I will explain tier 1, tier 1.5, tier 2, and we have a new tier, potential. Why potential? Because this meta is not defined. So the deck we will put in potential are the deck if you find a good list, if you find a good strategy, can be really good, can be a tier 2, can be a tier 1.5, can be a tier 1, or can be a shit. We can
Let's
start.
start.
Let's start.
Yeah. We're going to go through most of them really fast because we already discussed them
Live on Twitch, yes.
live on Twitch, but of course we wanna appeal to the foreign people so we can speak about it in English so everyone can understand.
Red green, no?
Yeah. It was the first deck we put in potential because we feel like maybe with the with the Ice Age and Moria ban, it's probably going to be a little bit on the rise. It has some niche matchups, decent matchups across the spread, but against some of the tier ones, it maybe struggles. Like versus Stitch, versus Shanks, it can be a little bit hard. Even versus Bonnie. So I still feel like it's potential, but it's going to be on the lower side of the tier spectrum. Like probably going to be tier 2 once the meta defines, but we can maybe understand that it has some potential.
We can believe a little bit in it.
Yeah, we can believe.
That's good.
And,
okay. Then
yeah.
Arlong we put in tier 2.
tier
The deck
2
it's not on shit level, so I think tier 2 is the right tier for him.
Same as Nami. We talked about it on the live stream. Nami is good once the meta defines, but seeing as this meta is most of its bad matchups really high up, Teach is bad. Also other matchups can be a little bit tricky, Shanks is playing a little bit more aggro on the aggro side. So losing black yellow and black has the two good matchups Nami had, maybe it's not that good. And off is still going to be present, so I think it's going to be like a tier 2 deck most of the time.
Yeah, and probably some decks can rise up with the Zoro 9 cost, so that card is not really good for Nami.
It's also bad for Nami, yeah.
Now we have Katakuri. I think this deck can rise up a lot in the meta because I have a really good matchup into Shanks.
Yeah, it's good versus Shanks, and it won the last big local on your live channel.
Yes. The first post-banlist big local with the 46 people every Thursday. We saw 20 different decks, but Kata got the second place, lost just in the finals against one Shanks because don't see really good. So I think this deck is good in the meta and probably will be one of the tier 1.5.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that because I hate yellow, but tier 1.5 for Kata, it's
more than hate yellow. We hate Katakuri. We despise that deck.
Yes. Yeah, now next, Doflamingo, he got some support, but I don't think this deck can be better than a tier 2.
Yeah, it's probably a tier 2, yeah. Another very strange deck to approach. It deserves a lot of praise in that the players who know how to play Rebecca mostly understand the ins and outs of every matchup, but it requires a lot of effort, so since with the new cards, we still don't know how the meta is gonna shape up. We believe Rebecca deserves a spot in the potential tier because it can handle aggro very well, and it can still play very well in our very control heavy meta. So the deck deserves potential, and it's probably the deck with the most potential out of the ones we have discussed on live stream. So it's one of the best decks in the potential tier.
Andres Rosa package got buffed, no? So the deck can be good, yeah. Another one, Queen. I don't think it's on shit level because lost one of the worst matchups. So I think on tier 2, like the off, yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And
same as
Sam Sabo, yeah.
Yeah. He has some decent matchups. Like maybe versus Stitch, he can have a good matchup with the leader ability, but we still don't know. So tier 2
no more
is
Moria.
Yeah. No more
No
Moria
more
is like
Moria.
maybe bad because it could have played Moria, but we don't know.
And
Yeah.
I think
Little bad,
Belobetti have a good matchup into Teach,
but
but it's
maybe
not enough.
yeah, that's it. That's it.
It's
Really
not
doesn't
enough.
deserve more of a spot than tier 2 is like tier 2
Yeah.
is the best you can get.
Movie Purple.
Yeah, and maybe the first tier 1 of the tier list.
Yeah,
'Cause,
probably tier 1.
yeah, he deserves the tier 1 spot. It like he didn't get hit by the ban list. The cost 1 spell is still alive and kicking, so it's still like the best deck that can abuse the spell. So I mean, really not. There is really no point in like putting him any lower than tier 1 because like Lucci, which was one of the like strangest matchups for the deck, was destroyed by the ban list. So I think it's in a good spot right now, and it's also like very decent versus Shanks. Maybe there is some like strategy versus Stitch, even I don't know. In the first place they said like
Impossible
maybe
against aggro, thing like that.
yeah, but with the 1 cost spell and like maybe you can even take the 7 cost kid. I mean, the deck still has like
You can
super
change the
good
deck list. Don't be
yeah.
focused on the old list, because now if the
Yeah,
meta will change, all the deck lists will change, and Luffy Purple can adapt, obviously.
Yeah. If kid is popular, it can even play Gamma Knife. So
Yeah,
I
too.
mean, the deck has like some
tool. Yeah,
very yeah.
Okay, Enel.
And
Tier 2. I don't...
he lost like his best card versus Stitch and versus Shanks, which was Raigo, and now the deck literally has nothing to counter big bodies. So I mean, the matchup versus Stitch with the 5 cost Kuzan was bad, but now it's even worse because like you can't even starve and play around the 10 cost Stitch by just killing it with Raigo. You cannot do anything. So like tier 2 is the best this deck can get, probably.
Verona, no more Moria, tier 2.
Tier 2, not shit because like can still do something, but of course she doesn't have Moria as like the best card in the deck. So I mean, you really cannot play her. Same as Yamato, like she really didn't gain that much. She's becoming a little bit more popular in OP11 thanks to the new Luffy, but at this point and in this meta, I don't feel like she's very good. Maybe some lists playing a Fortress with the 8 cost kid, maybe they can do something, but I really haven't tested the deck that much, and also on paper it doesn't seem so good in this moment.
Reiju.
Reiju,
I saw a lot of people play this deck, but I don't know how this deck can be good. Yeah, you don't have black anymore because black is bad for Reiju, but I think anyways it's at max tier 2. Bonnie now we have to discuss a lot about Bonnie. Why? Because can be at tier 1 because have a good matchup spread, but
she's mostly gate kept by Shanks and Teach, which are like two difficult matchups for her. Even if I feel like maybe she belongs in tier 1, I wouldn't put her in tier 1 just yet. Maybe it's more of a 1.5 now, and maybe once the meta develops or like the deck evolves or like a new list or the list gets improved, maybe the deck can be a little bit better.
Yeah, I guess Teach you have to see cards who cannot search. They are not searchable, so I don't know. I don't feel good to play Bonnie. Yeah, I have good matchups, but it's not enough in my opinion. Tier 1.5, it's okay. Boa Hancock.
She lost Jinbe, but I feel like losing Jinbe is not that bad, and also like she plays very well into deck which like play big bodies like Shanks, like Teach, with the 6 cost spell with the Red Rock. So I feel like she still is a good deck and belongs even in tier 1.5. I mean, she can also play very well versus aggro, so I feel like it's still a good deck, and a 1.5 is like true to her placement in the meta. I think tier 1.5 is perfect for her.
Don't mind about the order, boys, because in my opinion are all on the same level, so this is not the best deck of tier 1.5, this is not the best deck of tier 1, so don't mind about the order. Foxy 2 for me it's a tier 1.5, it's like a sleeper deck, but this deck have a lot of potential, and we saw in OP10 is good because we still have Doffy and other deck with this I guess this deck are good, but he lost Lucci. Against Lucci, this deck cannot win, and now is a big improve. So for me, tier 1.5 for Foxy 2.
Yeah, it's like one of the sleeper 1.5 picks, but I feel like it's very, very good and some very good matchups. Maybe you have never played versus a good Foxy player, but we have, so we know the ins and outs of the deck. Maybe like we understand how the deck works versus certain matchups, which maybe you have not tested. And so this may seem strange to you, but the deck is very decent. It's more than decent, so
Yes.
it's gonna be a sleeper pick.
Now Lucci, this deck can win without Moria? Yes, probably can win, but
Yeah, but
you have to
we
find the
still
right
don't know.
build.
Yeah, we still don't know, so we are going to put it in potential
Yeah,
because we are not 100% sure, but
yeah, I agree. Say Vegapunk for me, it's 32, it's not that bad like a shit. Marco is a good deck, and for me it's another sleeper deck, so we will put in tier 1.5. Don't sleep on Marco. Carrot is just a tier 2. Same as Lucci. Smoker, it's a potential. In the potential tier.
Because like he has maybe even much more of a potential than Lucci, because he can play the Navi package. So like Lucci can still play the Navi package, but like if you wanna play Lucci, the 4-cost Lucci, the Spandin, you have to lean more on the CP side. I think the Navi package is a little bit better in a vacuum, so I think maybe it has some better potential than Lucci, but it still remains to be seen, because Moria was banned and so was Ice Age, so it's still like strange to...
Tashigi is a card. Pudding is a good deck in this moment.
Yeah, it's tier 2. I mean Teach is not good, but it's like good versus Shanks because you spam 10 cost Mom like earlier than Kata, so it can have good matchups, but I think it's gate kept by some aggro decks. Like if Zoro is decent, if aggro decks are decent, maybe Pudding is bad. So
I agree. Tier 2 is his level. Yeah, he's tier. Calgara, tier 1.5 Calgara.
Yeah, I think like the best thing about the deck is like being aggro is good versus Teach versus like other good decks like Shanks. If they lean more on the control side, if they miss the 8 cost Rayleigh on curve, you completely destroy them. So I feel like it's good. It's a good deck, and also it lost the worst matchup he had. So like it's Lucci. So I think the deck has Lucci and Black Yellow were two bad decks, so bad like matchup for the deck. So I feel like he has a very good shot in this meta to be more relevant.
Yeah, the same as Lim.
Because like since Ice Age was banned, spamming 9 cost Zoro is good, and this deck spams 9 cost Zoro.
Yeah.
So it's good. Like the big bodies the deck is going to play are going to change around how the meta develops, but I feel like it's more than a decent deck, so I wouldn't like put it below tier 1.5.
And all the card Lim play are all annoying, so the deck don't sleep on Lim too.
Don't sleep on Lim.
Don't sleep on Lim. Buggy potential probably.
Yeah. We put it in potential even in the live stream, because the structure decks are going to basically change this deck, and now since we don't know how the meta is going to develop, we feel like maybe it has some potential to be decent. It's probably not going to be more than a tier 2 like now, but once maybe the structure deck gets out, maybe it can be a little bit better.
Yeah, have potential to be better than tier 2, in my opinion. So yeah. This deck is just a tier 2. He lost Moria, so it's just a tier 2. Adios.
Yeah. Not more than tier 2, probably.
Don't play Nico Robin.
Same as Nico Robin, probably one of the like worst tier 2.
This deck have some good insight.
Sugar is decent. Like maybe the build still needs to be discovered, but the deck is overall like pretty solid. So I think the tier 2 benchmark is like
we need the Sanji to cook the sugar list, but tier 2
probably not really that good.
Okay.
Same as Kid. Like Kid is probably like the worst green deck maybe.
Yeah, we will put here just because can do Kid at cost, and this moment seems strong.
Green deck, so it's good.
Luffy Red Purple.
I feel like he's
tier 1.5.
Yeah, he's a tier 1.5 because like the new support from OP10 is very good. The 5 cost Rosinante is insane. it's one of the best purple decks who can spam the 1-cost spell. And also now, since you have Rosinante, you can actually play 10-cost Shanks and still have your 1-cost spell up to defend. So I feel like the deck got a little bit of a buff. So maybe it can even be a little bit higher than tier 1.5, but it remains to be seen how the meta develops.
Yes.
Because Stitch is not that easy for the deck, so I don't know. We still have to see, but I wouldn't put it below 1.5 because
Tier 1.5 for sure.
Yeah.
Tier
Yeah, and
1
he got
is a
some-
little bit too much in this moment for say tier 1 about Luffy Red Purple. Kid, I think Kid cannot be better than a tier 2, but okay. A lot of people have a good fan base this deck. Uta is another
potential because
another potential deck, yes.
like it's not just a Kid deck. It's not only 8-cost Kid spam, but it's also like good because it gains so much value in like the teach matchup or like versus aggro. The deck can keep up very well, like drawing 2 cards every turn basically. So I feel like the deck has a good spot in the meta, but like it remains to be seen how it develops. Maybe it's no more than a tier 2, or maybe it can even be a tier 1.5. I wouldn't like put it in tier 1 ever, but maybe it has some like it has the potential to win some events, or maybe even top 4 or top 2 some events.
If you're not prepared for Uta, can be a problem because Uta can play a lot of annoying cards and can be a lot aggro, can be a build more defensive, have good cards, have the new Katakuri, the new Uta are really good cards. Shanks is searchable, so don't sleep on Uta too. Yeah, it's a good deck, I think. It's have potential for sure. Another deck who have just a lot of potential is Sabo, because probably it's the best aggro.
Yeah, one of the best decks. He got the 5-cost Luffy from ST21, so like it's so synergic with the deck. I feel like it has probably the most potential out of all the aggro decks in the format. So I feel like it's one of the like best potential decks, maybe.
Not the brother Ace will be just tier 2.
Ace is tier 2, yeah.
Cannot be cooked the same as we have to pay respect here. Have to pay respect, but this deck will be a tier 2 in this moment.
Yeah. At the most is going to be a tier 2 because like maybe it can be cooked, but I don't know because like losing Moria is just too much for the deck.
Yeah.
Like, Moria was so good for the deck. I mean,
too much. Luffy ST14 tier 2 too. Lost Moria 2. We have to put it tier 2. That's it. Yeah. Luffy ST21, one of the new leaders.
Yeah. I don't feel like it's a tier 1.5. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's on tier 2 level.
Yeah, it's probably like the best tier 2, like because Red is pretty good now.
Yeah.
So I think it's decent, but not by so much. So tier
agree.
2, best of tier 2 is probably right.
Agree. Smoker, red, green. A lot of people asked me about this deck, and I think probably it's tier 1.
Yeah, it's the best Kid deck. The 2-cost spell is so good, like on defense is crazy. And like the deck has the ability to cheat so much dons, it's crazy. Like on 5 Dawn turn you can play both the Smoker and Tashigi versus Stitch. Is insane. Like you instantly win the game because like 7k banish and I don't know. It's crazy.
It's not easy to remove the Smoker too. You can play Kid on it because you are just gonna restand your Dawn, so you can use the ability.
You play with 3 more Dawn every turn. It's crazy.
It's too much. It's too much for real. Kid Yellow, one of the most spammed deck in Turin in the tournament we see on Thursday, but this deck is really good. I will put in tier 1.5.
Yeah. Like it's good because it's like simple in what it does. It's just a yellow deck that like tries to gain as much advantage as possible with the 7-cost low. It's such a crazy card in the deck, like healing 1 life and then even like 6 cost 9k. It's crazy.
Blocker.
It's crazy. It's a blocker. It's crazy.
The fuck.
And also like the 8-cost Kid gives you like a bit of a matchup versus Shanks, because like a pseudo 10-cost Mom is very good versus the deck. And also versus Stitch, I've seen some people take the 7-cost NL plus you play like vanilla cards. Basically, you play the 5-7k, 6-8k. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's even a 7-9k like the low. It's still like a vanilla stat line.
I
So
think you have to know how to play against Kid.
yeah.
Zoro? Zoro is a what if. It's
Yeah, Zoro
a
is
big what if, so we will put in potential.
Big potential.
Animal build I don't think works anymore, so we have to find a good build for this meta.
Yeah.
Another big potential is low green yellow. I think
Blue
this
green
deck
yellow the second deck with the most potential, because maybe Rebecca can be a little bit better, but I feel like this deck has like such good matchups in a vacuum, such good plays in a vacuum, like 5-cost Bonnie versus Teach and versus I mean, Teach cannot like always do the leader effect, because otherwise he just like discards or cards from his hand because you go wide on board, or maybe even playing this card versus Bonnie, so she can't play 10-cost Doffy, or like versus Shanks, he cannot play 10-cost Shanks. So the deck has some like very good plays, plus the 7-cost low is crazy in this deck.
yeah.
It's insane. So I feel
you can combo a lot with the Bonnie 5 cost, like you said. This deck is really good.
And also he can play like 8-cost Kid as a plan versus aggro decks, and you still can play Tashigi, which is such a good 2k card and such a good
You can do a really good combo with Kid, because you can do Kid, one down under the Kid, play the Bonnie Blogger put you Supernova from your end in the life, do the leader ability and put, I don't know, low Cavendish, Bonnie, and do a lot of things.
The worst matchup is probably going to be Teach. So if there is like a way to
resolve Teach, no?
Like try to understand if the matchup can be playable, maybe the deck like can even be tier like
1.5?
Yeah, 1.5, best of 1.5, but for now it's just potential. We need to understand.
Not Shanks. Shanks is probably one of tier 1, one of the best tier 1.
Yeah, it's probably like the second best tier 1, because it's so consistent in the way that it's not consistent in the way that like you always do the same thing, but it's consistent in the way that you never sit down, look at your opponent's deck and say, now I'm going to lose if I don't win dice, or maybe it's like one of the worst matchups for the deck. But I feel like Shanks has a lot of 50-50s across the board, and being so consistent in its matchups means it's a very good pick for a tournament, and I feel like it's probably like the safest picks.
Yeah, because now we have the jungle, so if you bring a deck with a lot of 50-50 or a lot of good mashup, like Shanks in this moment, is a good pick, yeah, for sure. Doflamingo? Doflamingo, no Jimbe, can be good. For us, Doflamingo still is a tier 1 deck.
Yeah, I feel like it's still like one of the... Maybe it's like not the last tier 1, maybe it's going to be one like... a borderline tier 1.5, but even without Jimbe, the deck is still decent, and we have to understand that like he lost the Lucci matchup, which was like very hard for the deck.
But now against Teach you are still on top in the matchup, so I think Doflamingo, it's a tier 1. You have to find the right way, but can be a tier 1 for sure. Tier 1.5, I'm not sure on the tier 1.5, so I will put tier 1. I like it. I think there is a way to play this deck. Aesop, my favorite deck of OP10, but I will put in tier 1.5. I think we lost Doffy, like a good mashup probably. We got Shanks. Shanks is a bad mashup. Luffy Red Purple 2 is a bad matchup, but if we find a way to manage the big bodies drop, I think this deck can do a lot of things, because I have a lot of blocker, have a lot of 2k, have removal, have reduction, the leader abilities are strong as fuck, so I think this deck is probably tier 1.5, but if we find the right build, can beat the meta. So I trust a lot this deck. The final deck, we don't have to say too much. This deck is the best tier 1 in this moment. Can manage the aggro, But the problem is, aggro is a bad mashup, yes, but you can change your build, and you will change the build and adapt on the meta. But you can still lose from some strange decks. But if we think about on what Teach can do, this deck is really strong and is one of the most consistent deck.
Yeah. It's like probably one of the best decks in the format. Even if like he's so much of a meta-defining card, the meta-defining deck, that the meta will develop around the card. So if Teach is bad, it means that it's bad because Teach exists. Because like if more aggro decks are being played, it's because they want to counter Teach.
Yes.
But if Teach is not countered, then it's the best deck. So
yeah,
it's going to be a little bit of a like mind stretch, mind exercise to understand how to develop the meta around Teach.
I think
Teach
with all this jungle, Teach still one of the strongest, probably the strongest tier 1 deck, but it's not anymore
The
a
safest
safest pick.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a risky pick, but the deck is strong. The deck is really strong. It's not a tier 1.5, it's not a tier 2, it's a tier 1. Definitely the best tier 1. The tier list is over. Thank you, Giallo, for your help. Thank you for
Thanks
your
for having me, man.
insight.
Thanks for having me.
And boys, if you enjoyed the video, put a like, put a comment, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.